how does the whole extortion business work?
Well, so like I said, let's say the unions were a great tool for us to extort somebody, a business, so on and so forth. Give you an example. Let's say there's a restaurant or a club in Manhattan that has a lot of employees, but they're not unionized. Now, I used to control the waitresses and bartenders union. I had a local that I controlled. So we would send somebody into a particular restaurant, had a lot of employees, and say, look, here's the deal. We're going to unionize, and they can't stop you from trying to unionize your employees. We're going to start to bring the union in here. You got 50 employees, you don't have a union, and that's not fair to your workers. We're going to bring the union in. They don't want that, obviously, but I said, here's the deal. If you don't want the union, every Christmas I want you to give me $20,000. You do that, I'll keep the union out. That's a form of extortion, really, because you're threatened of doing something and, for getting money in return. So that's extortion. So, and we use the unions a lot to operate in that way, a lot. Same thing with Jerry Gutterman. So let's say, we use the unions were a major tool for us to extort a business. Give you an example. I had under my control a major apartment to co-op conversion. It was a major one. It was in Queens, New York. It was the biggest one in the country. We converted 3,500 apartments into co-ops at the time. The union was going in to unionize every trade in there. It would have cost the builder, the owner rather, at least another $25–30 million to do the job if we had the union in there, because it was a huge job. So I had somebody in there that was working under them. He was kind of a contractor in there. And I had him go speak to the owner and say, look, I have a contact and he can keep the union out. Talk to him. So I sat down with Gutterman at the time. We made a deal. I said, I'm going to keep the union out basically, but you're going to use my general contractor from this point on. The only way I can keep the union out is by me being in control of your contracting here. And you're going to pay me X amount of dollars every quarter. So I got paid from him for keeping the union out to a large degree. Plus, I made money by having my general contractor in there to run the job. Saved him a lot of money. I made a lot of money. Everybody was happy. But it is a form of extortion.
Oh yeah, that's definitely extortion. Now, in your book, you talked about how Machiavelli was like a cornerstone in terms of how the mafia operated.
Yes.
And this was a central figure during the Italian Renaissance. He wrote this book called The Prince that would help, leaders in his country rule. And it's interesting because this was also a book that Tupac was heavily influenced by when he was in prison. And when he came out, his last album, he actually changed his name to Machiavelli.
Really? I didn't know that. Smart guy.
Tupac's last album was under the Machiavelli name as opposed to the Tupac name. But you talked about how the Machiavellian principle is really not a very good principle in terms of how to live your life. And can you explain that?
Well, yeah, and Machiavelli was kind of the patron saint of the mob. When you went into prison, it was almost required reading that you read The Prince. And just to explain, The Prince, in The Prince, Machiavelli is supposed to consult or guide the prince and give him guiding principles on how to maintain control of his country, of his leadership. And one of the main principles was this. He told the prince that you could do anything that you need to do. You can lie, you can steal, you can cheat, you can kill. You can do anything you need to do to maintain power, because that's the major goal, maintain power and control over your kingdom. But in doing so, you must always appear to the outside person to be upright, to have integrity, and to be honest. And that's the Machiavellian way. The end justifies the mean, anything goes, but you have to appear to be upright, honest, and have integrity. And to a large degree, with certain things, that's how the mob operated. We got what we want. The end justifies the means. As long as we get what we want in the end, but we're supposed to do it in a way that shows that we have honor and integrity and honesty among one another. So that's it. Now, is that a good way to live? Of course not, because it has no restrictions on you. As a matter of fact, Machiavelli, it says, it's better okay, for you to have no restrictions on you, because then you can do anything that you want as long as you appear to have restrictions on you in that way, morally. So is it a good way to live? Of course not, because then anything goes. You can lie, you can steal, you can cheat, you can do anything that you want in order to maintain control and to get what you want. So obviously it's not a good way to live, and in the end, you're going to fail as a result of that.